So I think the Shawenim Abinoojii school can be looked at in a variety of perspectives. It could look different from me, it could look different to an EA, to the teacher. From my perspective, I look at the school as a different type of school where we're taking in kids that are coming from different backgrounds, that are living within Shawenim Abinoojii care, and we bring the kids in that are from grade 9 to 12. We meet our kids at where they are at. We meet where their needs are. We focus on a circle of care approach for the kids, so that means that we look at who's all involved in the youth's life. So that could be the social work, the house parent, if their parents are involved, and we move from there. We base their plan on where they're at, like I said. We often take the therapeutic approach and also implementing culture within the classroom, and that's really where we hone in with the kids.
Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would like to say that the school could be, a transitional school for some students. So they come here, when maybe the mainstream schools are too much for them. And that could be, from a variety of factors. So maybe it's their mental health, maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's family dynamics. So we're kind of here as a transitional school for some, but for other students, maybe they want to stay with us for all of high school. And for some that is the case. I think what separates our school from other schools is we are very gentle, in our approach with the kids. We kind of don't look at, discipline like other schools. We don't just approach situations that way. And, we're very culturally involved. And I think that's a big piece that all of our students need as First Nations youths.
Let's talk about the history and how did it begin and how did the school start?
So originally the school was developed, the idea stemmed from Jason Whitford and Victoria Fisher. They definitely seen that there was a gap in the education system and a lot of youth and children were falling between the cracks. Oftentimes you'd have kids that would start school and they'd be in school till the end of September enrollment. And if they're not attending regularly or if they're not doing their work on time, oftentimes they're getting kicked out of the school, but that funding is already put in place with that school. So then you have a youth or a child that is out of school, that are falling between the cracks. They're falling behind in their years because they have many barriers. So Victoria and Jason noticed this. They put into action about creating a school. They reached out to Olivia McCorston, who ultimately she started the school, put it into place, and developed it. I was hired on in 2019 as the part-time teacher to help with the curriculum development and just kind of getting the school on its feet. So that's where it started from, and we always have to remember that's why we are here, is because a lot of the times our kids are getting booted from school if they're not attending or if they're not finishing their work, if they're falling behind. So we need to always be reminded that's why we are here. And oftentimes we can get sidetracked, right? Because we're teachers and we do want to make sure that we're meeting those deadlines. So we're definitely trying to not rewrite the school system, but we're still following the curriculum.
Is there other schools like this?
There are other independent schools, but there is no other First Nations independent school. So an Indigenous independent school.
So if another community wanted to follow the model, what advice would you give to them?
I guess we would both have different advice. Do you want to start?
I think for me, it's taking a lot of the core values as an Indigenous woman for me, and merging what I know from my heart and how I was raised with the curriculum, and I love doing that. It's actually one of my favorite things to do with curriculum development. I love putting Indigenous perspectives in there and throwing that lens there, and I think that's one way we hook our students, because I think for a lot of them they encounter, I guess, a lot of racism, and they tell us that and they open up about that, and so I think they really feel like they can be themselves here and that they're accepted.
True. I think I think if I could give any advice, if somebody was to develop a school and moving forward on that, would definitely be keeping in mind the needs of their students, their clientele, who they're working with. A lot of times we are in our school divisions, there's already a set what you need to have there, and it's very like, do this, do that, do this. So if you're going to find a different approach that might be more successful, is focusing on student-centered and what works best for them, and also like incorporating the culture so that they have a sense of who they are and kind of create that structure for them.
What are some of the challenges that you've faced over the past few years?
There's definitely been a lot of challenges, but I think with any kind of anything new or trying to grow, there's definitely going to be challenges in places. You know, you're working with a demographic that have a lot of barriers in place, and you know, the number one key is to kind of push people away. So I found a personal barrier is to just get to know the kids and build that strong rapport and, you know, build that trust, because that's a key component to moving forward and having any type of success with a youth. So definitely overcoming those barriers has been a challenge.
Yes, to what Darcy said. But I think definitely for me, one of the biggest challenges that we've faced, you know, as a classroom community is, you know, loss of students, and you know, that was definitely the hardest. Mm-hmm. And together, like, we talk about the needs of the students, and I think that we are continuously finding ways to support the growth of what we feel we need, that the students need, or ourselves, to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about successes. What are some of the successes and highlights that you remember over the past few years?
I would say that, you know, mine personally is like seeing kids that are coming back that, you know, are struggling if they went and did into juvie, or if they were to do time. You know, that's another way that we lose kids, and they come back and they want to come back. That to me is success, you know, that they want to come back, that this is a place that's safe for them, where they choose to come back. So for me, that's a big success. Even seeing kids that, you know, wouldn't talk or wouldn't do work the first year that they were here, the second year they're coming out of their shell and they're really like starting to talk and visit and interacting with everybody. That to me is a huge success, because not only are we impacting them in their academic, but we're impacting them in life in general on how to have social skills. And for me, having a safe place for them is definitely a big success.
Yeah, I agree completely, you know, and that's a really rewarding feeling that, you know, some of the kids, they'll be just in the area and they'll pop in to come say hi and chat with us and visit with us, and because we wonder and we worry, you know, so it's always nice to have that check-in and to know, like, they feel okay coming to us and opening up to us and just popping in to say hello. You know, recently we've had our first graduate. That was really exciting, and, you know, we're very happy to be a part of that, and we hope that more kids, you know, are able to graduate. But not only that, like Darcy said, like, there's so many other skills that the kids are learning here, and, you know, they're teaching us too, you know, how to be, I guess, more open-minded in their own ways. Like, they're all unique, and
just even being grateful and appreciative. Like,
yeah.
I feel like I've been able to gain that a lot over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the graduation yesterday. Tell me about that. How did it make you feel?
Well,
If we're gonna be honest.
well, you know, we had this idea rolling, and we kind of left it and came back to it because of attendance. So we were kind of like, okay, well, maybe not, you know, maybe another term, another semester. Then he came back and he got everything done. And that's one of the unique things about the school, is because of the format of the content, you can kind of miss a little bit and then pick up where you left off. And that's how he was able to finish on time. So it was the first graduation, and I took the lead on planning because I was excited, and I had a lot of help from one of the EAs, Alyssa. So I kind of put the, big ideas forward, and she kind of did the groundwork to bring it up and bring it alive. And it was just a really beautiful day, and I really valued the cultural aspects of that ceremony and of that day. And I just hope Cash had a very memorable day and that he's very proud of himself.
I would like to say that out of all the graduation ceremonies that I've ever been to, the performances that were in place were definitely honing in on our culture, and you could definitely tell that it was different. And I appreciate Tanisha and Alyssa's effort in planning, and they set the tone for future graduations now. So I'm excited to see our graduates next year too, and how we can go from there.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add that maybe I didn't talk about or cover, or anything you just want to just mention? Or anything, it could be anything.
I think that we have a good foundation for the school, through collaborative efforts and, everybody who's been through the doors of the school. And I think there's still a lot of growing to do, but I think we're in a good spot, and we have a very strong team, and we'll get there.
I agree. I think that every year is different. There is new objectives and goals put in place in every year. And next year, I know what we're focusing on, and that is our curriculum development and how we can meet the needs of the kids and make sure that they get an equitable education. And it's important for that to be voiced, because we did fulfill another area last year. We have the safety, we have the culture, the community. So we're just kind of bringing everything together, and it's coming together nicely. So we know what we need to get done, and I feel like with a strong team, we have our goals in place, and we feel like it's a safe place to speak our minds, which is needed when you're in something new and you're wanting something to grow in a good way.
Awesome. One last question. Going forward, where do you see this, what you're doing, and is there any room for improvement, or is there anything more?
I think, honestly, there's always room for improvement, especially in life in general. You're always growing. I think that we will continue to grow, and if I was to think about where this could be in 5 years, I'm really hoping that it's still going. I would hope that there could even be one of those portable classrooms outside Abinoojii Commons so that it can grow for youth, that there could be various types of students that are coming to the school that get to learn their culture, that get to learn community while getting the curriculum components met as well. So that would be my vision and hope, that it would be able to grow for the kids.
What needs do you have? If you had unlimited resources, what would you ask for?
I think that would be, like I said, from different perspectives. I know we have a few things that are going to be met, and I'm going to let Tanisha talk on that because these were her ideas.
Okay, if I had unlimited resources, I would open up a high school in the city for First Nations students, Indigenous youth, and it would all be run through the Indigenous lens and merge with curriculum. I think the teachers could be diverse, but for the most part, our students deserve a school made for them, and there are universities that are geared towards Indigenous adults, but the youth who should be our focus, they don't have that yet. And I think that this could kind of be the start for that, because we are in Winnipeg and we are doing that. So yeah.
So dedicated for using the circle of care approach.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting.
That would be if there were unlimited resources.
And having all Indigenous youth be able to access
if
the
they
school
want, have that as an option.
opportunity.
And I think it could be a really beautiful and big thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
We're just at the beginning.
Yeah, I think so. Dream big.